Government officials are not allowed to sell access to the United States government. Even sitting vice presidents like Joe Biden are not allowed to do that. It's a crime. It is also a crime for anyone in the United States to commit fraud, to defraud their business partners. Now, in the portion of the interview that you just saw, Tony Bobulinski presented evidence, which we examined, that Hunter Biden did this. He committed fraud against Tony Bobulinski and his other business partners. The Biden family did that. Now, Bobulinski gave that evidence to the FBI. What happened next? We asked Tony Bobulinski. Now, since you are at the very center of the story, since you were the CEO of Sinahawk Holdings.
I wish I wasn't.
Right. Oh, I know that's right. And I want to ask you about that in a minute because it's a sad story. But since you are, as a factual matter, at the very center of this story, tell us about your personal interactions with the FBI.
So, well documented. I went to the second debate in Nashville between President Trump and Joe Biden.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
That night I flew to D.C. and the next morning there was a big debate. Do I voluntarily walk into the FBI or do I go sit down with Senator Johnson and Senator Grassley? My lawyers decided it was better that I voluntarily go in to sit and provide these facts. And so in the morning of October 23rd, the morning after the debate, I spent 5+ hours sitting in a room with, at one point, I think as much as 6 federal agents, walking through all the facts of my knowledge of the Biden family, how I got involved in this, the trips around the world, CFC, Chairman Yee and stuff like that. At the end of that meeting, and remember, I voluntarily went there, so they were happy to take any information I provided to them. I wish I had pictures of the faces of the 2 main agents that were interviewing me, because I would say something and you could just see the shock in their face, and they would say, hey, let's take a minute. They'd get up and walk out of the room, and the agents would sort of convene and then come back and restart the interview, because these facts are just for the sake of our country, for national security. At that point, he was candidate Joe Biden. Now he's the sitting president of the United States, the most powerful person in the free world, and daunting. So at the end of that 5+ hour interview, the head of station told my lawyers, listen, an individual named Tim Thibault is going to run point on all of this. We're definitely going to have Tony come back in for a follow-up interview. Could be as early as next week. Some of the people that were in the room weren't well versed on all these facts. We may want to have people come in from Baltimore or Delaware. And, I was ready to sit down with anybody that needed me to or travel wherever I wanted to. And so the head of station gave my lawyers Tim Thibault's cell phone number. Tim was not there that day. I think he was out of Washington, D.C. But my lawyers had an hour and a half call with him that Friday night, October 23rd, and subsequent calls through the weekend and the following week when I was then coming on your show to provide the facts to the American people. And they were supposed to be working a follow-up interview, and Tim Thibault, in his last discussion with my legal counsel, was, listen, we know Tony's cooperating. We appreciate all the information he's provided. We will follow up with you. We're definitely going to have him come in for a follow-up interview or spend some more time on this. And I haven't heard from him since.
At all?
No. Nor have my lawyers.
No communication whatsoever?
No.
Since before the 2020 election?
Correct.
That's shocking.
Shocking, yeah, that would be one adjective, yeah.
Tell us about Tim Thibault.
I didn't interact with him, my lawyers did, and had extensive discussions. Obviously, all this information, very sensitive, and how it was being handled, the images off my cell phones, detailed, WeChat discussions with the Chinese, wires changing. Just the amount of information here is staggering.
And the FBI took possession of that information.
They did. I don't know where it went.
So
I do know, to your point earlier of one of the reasons why I'm sitting here, during the summer, there's been all this discussion now about whistleblowers coming forward to Senator Grassley, Senator Johnson, Congressman Jordan, Congressman Comer. I mean, it sounds like they're coming out, out of the woodwork, and I think it will continue to accelerate. And apparently a variety of these whistleblowers claim that Tim Thibault was suppressing facts. So imagine I'm actually in Europe traveling, and I'm starting to see these, I call my lawyers monthly. Why haven't I been called in front of a grand jury? Well, this makes no sense to me. They said they were going to follow up within a week and do follow-up interviews. And my lawyers were just, let the process work through. I had respect for, obviously, our country. I was trying to respect the Department of Justice and let them work through. But then when you hear the person that you're told was assigned to run point on thousands of documents and text messages and calendars and, travel arrangements and all that, that individual just walked out of the FBI headquarters in D.C., you've got to start asking questions. So,
and the allegation is that he's a partisan actor acting on behalf of, effectively, the Democratic Party. That's the allegation about
Yeah,
Tim.
apparently multiple whistleblowers have come forward and claimed that, correct.
Would you speak to the FBI again?
I'd be happy to.
At any time?
At any time. No, not just the FBI, the U.S. Attorney. I mean, these facts are extensive, well-documented, easily verified, metadata, multiple sources saying the same thing. Zero chance that this has anything to do with Russia or disinformation.
So we've heard repeatedly accounts that there is or was a grand jury impaneled in Delaware.
Yeah.
What do you know about that?
I know one thing, I haven't been called in front of them, and which is surprising, disappointing, I don't know.
You were the business partner of the Biden family.
Some people say, aren't you happy that you didn't have to go through and sit in front of people for 20 hours getting asked 1,000 questions? And I say, no, our country deserves the facts. They need to know about the facts. And when you have a media and, some of the biggest tech companies, Facebook, Twitter, publicly acknowledging that they did suppress the story, Jack Dorsey at Twitter publicly acknowledging it was a mistake.
We made a total mistake with the New York Post. We corrected that within 24 hours. It was not to do with the content. It was to do with a hacked materials policy. We changed that based on they're not wanting to delete that tweet, which I completely agree with. I see it, but it is something we learn.
There wasn't a do-over. We didn't get to go back and fix that history was altered. This is history-altering facts. Debate with anybody. Put me in a room with anybody that claims anything I've said, any document I've produced is altered or fabricated. I'd love that challenge.
FBI Director Chris Wray dispatched his agents on the largest manhunt in American history to apprehend and incarcerate hundreds of middle-aged people with no criminal records for trespassing in the United States Congress when the Capitol Police lifted the guards and let them in. That's what they've been spending their time doing. But not one FBI agent could call Tony Bobulinski back, who presented them hard documentary evidence of felonies the Biden family committed. How is that not corruption? And who's behind it? Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson Tonight.